Day 5 of my trip to Cartagena. I started off with breakfast at my hotel for the morning. Not long after, my tour guide picked us up and we're on our way to the first stop. The first stop is San Felipe Castle. This place was really cool and interesting to visit. Back in the day, this was a military fort for the people of Cartagena. My tour guide explained the history of this beautiful place. He also took tons of photos for me, which I really appreciated. He was pretty good at it too. Not to mention, it's really high up here, so you get some really beautiful views too. I recommend visiting this place because it's really cool, although I will admit it was super hot over here. Cartagena in general is very hot, so basically I was using an umbrella the entire day because today was a walking tour. Cartagena is seriously sweltering hot, so I'm not exaggerating. You need an umbrella to go walking around. I think this is a really great place for a lot of picture opportunities, and it's such a fascinating place. We also did get to go inside, and it was really cool. If you wanted to, you could probably stay here for a pretty long time, although I did not because the heat can really get to you, and I was really excited at some point to go back to the car and relax in the AC for a bit. By the way, this entire tour cost me $56, so that's not a lot because I'm going to be doing a lot more. The San Felipe Castle is pretty huge, so you definitely could spend a lot of time here if you wanted to. There's tons of places where you can take pictures and explore. If I could do anything differently about the way I arranged my tours, I probably would have done this one first, though. I think this tour would have been a really good briefing on the first day of Cartagena so that you could decide what you want to do the following days. The tour today is basically the walled city of Cartagena, so outside of that, it's not really that touristy. All along the way, my tour guide was telling me a lot about the history of Cartagena, although I'm not sure about my retention of it. Nonetheless, I really like these type of tours anyway because someone's there to help take my photos if I'm solo traveling. San Felipe Castle is also right next to the next stop. After that, we went across the street to go to the Museum of Chocolate. I know it's very touristy, but I thought this place was super cool and so beautiful. The whole place was so nicely decorated, and it reminded me of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It was so cool. I literally felt like a kid in the candy store, and plus I got some cute pictures. Also, if you want to go upstairs, you can do a little tour to learn about chocolate. They have tons of artifacts and things you can learn about the history of chocolate. I thought that was pretty cool. Besides, who doesn't love chocolate? I think most people like it. If you like museums, I think this would be a pretty cool place to visit. Basically, the museum part of the Museum of Chocolate is all upstairs, and the bottom is just the store where they sell all the chocolate. You're not required to do both, just one or the other is fine. I did both the museum and tried some chocolate and got a drink. I ate all the chocolate I bought in Cartagena though because I don't want it to melt because it's super hot here. After that, our next stop is actually the neighborhood that I'm staying in, which is called Getsemani. Here we are driving over. Getsemani is actually a really popular place for tourists to visit. I had already been in Getsemani for several days, so that's why I feel like this tour probably should have been the first one I did. Nonetheless, I still took a walk around, and it was actually still worth it for me because now I have someone who can take my photos for me if I want to ask. Personally, as somebody who's solo traveled a lot, I find that much easier than asking strangers. I could just ask my tour guide. The funny thing is I'd been staying in Getsemani for several days, but there were some places he showed me that I hadn't gone to that were pretty significant. I will say I did see most of the places already, but I also got a proper explanation of where I was, so that's also pretty good. And like I said, he did send me good photos of myself, so it was still worth it actually. It's also pretty useful to have a tour guide because they can give you really good recommendations of the area that you're already in. This street here is a really long street with endless amounts of paintings. Actually, I didn't go to it before. So basically, they will know of spots that you would have never decided to go to. The next stop was actually an emerald store where we learned about emeralds, and I will admit that this was probably not my favorite stop. We did learn a lot about emeralds in Colombia, which are very significant to them, and how they made them here. I'm totally fine learning about the process of the emeralds, but no offense, but they kept trying to sell me the emeralds, and eventually I bought it, but it was very poor quality. I bought an emerald bracelet for almost $1,000 and it broke the next day. I even bought a pair of sandals in this area and they broke the next day as well. I don't know if I was just unlucky, but that's pretty poor quality. But anyways, after that we cut through a park and then we saw a sloth. There's a local sloth in this area. My tour guide had a really cute photo of the sloth, so I decided to have him send it to me. So adorable. Maybe a 5-minute walk from there, we went to the historic center of Cartagena. This area is an area that's super popular for tourists other than Getsemani. When I got here, I was actually really surprised that there was hardly anyone around, and I asked my tour guide about it. He said there were a few reasons for it. The first reason is they understand in Cartagena that it is so hot and that they can't really handle it very well. And on top of that, it was around lunchtime. You definitely know it's sweltering if even the local people are suffering. But I will say most people here don't have air conditioner. Even many businesses don't have it. Anyways, moving on, Colombian women are often praised for their beauty, so here's a little walk of fame for the beautiful beauty queens of Miss Colombia. By the way, if you've ever heard of rappers in Cartagena, this is where they usually are. Basically, in the historical center, there's a bunch of rappers walking around trying to make little raps about tourists for money. It can be a pretty fun thing if you're into that, but I actually am not. Getsemani doesn't really have them, but this area definitely has a lot of them. But you know what? That's the way they make their income, so I'm okay with it. Although I have heard that some of them get very pushy. There's also a statue of a woman here who's very curvy and she's very famous here. They say that if you touch her breasts, you'll have good luck for the rest of the year. I figured why not? Doesn't hurt. Actually, she was the last stop of the tour. After that, me and my tour guide decided to get some food. The food was very delicious and we ordered tons of it. So good. Anyways, that's it for day 5 of my trip to Cartagena. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.